Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage and the Thursday afternoon live stream. It is December 9th, 2021. We're not that far away from January 1st, 2022. So I hope you're making plans for next year. I know I am. I have things on my to-do list. I have cars on my to-do list. And I have lots of things to go on in 2022. One of the things that's going to happen soon, tomorrow, is our granddaughter arrives. So just putting that out there. She'll be here tomorrow. Planned delivery. So I'm pretty excited about that. Had our grandson was here earlier today, and I was walking him around and just, picturing him as a big brother. And so pretty exciting times. Pretty exciting times. But anyway, it is a pretty decent day here in Georgia. It started off chilly. It's currently 55 degrees. The sun is out, and it's comfortable. It's comfortable. I do have the heater on, make it a little more comfortable inside here, and just trying to keep things moving and get things done as I move forward. But it's great that you all can join me in this live stream today. I hope we have some good subject matter to talk about. I have a couple things I want to talk about, but I hope we have some good questions and comments and ideas and whatever. So let's see who's here right off the bat. Terry Keithley. Afternoon, Barry, and all. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Thank you. Yes. Whoops. I mean, what? Oh, yeah, that's the bell. Everybody knows the bell. I'm not going to explain the bell. You all know what the bell is for. But that's a little thing for Terry. Thank you. Greg, checking in from Greg's Workshop. And if you haven't been watching Greg's Workshop, you need to. You need to check him out. He is building. He has a multi-series video series of a English wheel that he is building, and it looks better probably than anything that I've seen on the, you could buy. Like we had one at the body shop years ago that was from Harbor Freight. It did the job, but Greg, he knows how to build stuff. So if you're interested, get a look at what he's doing and check out his latest build. Troy, happy Thursday, Barry and Barriettes. Glad you're here, Troy. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Glad you're here. Robert, here early out in the shop with the doors open. Yeah. So nice day in Texas, huh? Crash Rider, good afternoon from a sunny, cool, and windy afternoon in southern Indiana. Well, that's okay. As long as it's not snowing, in my opinion. Ron Bell, greetings from the Tri-Cities in Northeast Tennessee. Glad you're here. Tennessee gets covered pretty well on these chats we do. And Phil checking in from sunny Northern California. Hi, all. I don't think I've seen you here in a while, Phil. I hope everything is well with you. Crash Rider, congrats on a forthcoming arrival of your granddaughter. Yes. Yeah. We're pretty excited about it. I know whenever I was talking on Monday, we kind of went off on a tangent about the what was like, I can't even think of the name. The stocking hanger for the we have a family, 5 of us in our family, and then of course my daughter-in-law, grandson, and now granddaughter adds more to the pile, and it fills up too many on the mantle. So we were talking about ideas, and I had some people give me some great ideas. I had some people email me some great ideas, and I decided I was just going to go to the local thrift store and see what was there. Lo and behold, the very first thrift store I go to, sitting outside, almost literally right next to the door, was the perfect thing. And you may think, well, yeah, why not? Well, this thing, I had talked about using a coat rack or something like that. This was an outdoor towel rack. Nothing wrong with it. It had a set of cross pin rods, about this long. And I just took out the top one and turned it sideways, drilled a new hole. And now I have 2 cross rods. Done. $10. I was done. Of course, my wife wants me to add more to it, make it a little more. The base is kind of big, so she wants me to modify the base. But anyway, Charlie, checking in from Eastern Pennsylvania. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Okay, so I've been working on the Mustang, the radiator deal, and I've said it before. I can do wiring. I can do a lot of things. I don't necessarily like wiring that much, or I should say, I don't like troubleshooting and trying to figure things out. Running the wires is kind of tedious, and so I now have the bulk of the wiring done for the radiators. So I ended up using two solenoids, two power lines. They each have their own fuse on them, and then the all the other wires are connected except for one, the trigger activator. Let's say it comes off the ignition, powered ignition, and two, the secondary ground that I'm adding to a toggle switch, because I don't want to rely on the temperature sensor alone. In case I turn on the AC or something, I'm going to put a switch down there by the controls so I can flip on the fans manually. Why not? It's not that hard to do. Just adding a ground and connecting a switch, a switch to ground, basically. So earlier, I decided I was running the wires yesterday. I ran almost all the wires. I need to get them inside of the car, the two wires that I'm going to need for the ignition and the ground. And I kind of stopped when I made it, let's say, underneath the battery, around the core support, and back in the opposite side. I decided, I'm just going to stop right there. So today, while I was doing other things, I had to do some running around, but I came home and I thought, you know what? The wires are right here. This is an easy test. So I hooked up the battery, hooked up the white lead, which would be my triggered power off the ignition switch, hit the ground wire to the ground, boom, fans came on. So I was pretty happy with that. So everything works. I just have to finish the wiring and then clean up some stuff. I'll get some wire looms or something, and the whatever that stuff is called. This protective wire wrap. I actually have. Ooh, almost knocked something down. I actually have a couple packages of that stuff, so I'll use this to encase the wires and make it look better underneath the hood and stuff like that. But let's see. Oh, Charlie has a question. Got a question. What's the general consensus? Install the temperature sensor in the head or the intake manifold. Reasoning: in the head might be higher, in the intake better represents coolant temperature. That's a good question. Let's see what Robert says. I prefer the sensor showing head temperature for the gauge for cooling fans in the water neck or intake. So, yeah, that makes sense. That's how I'm going to have it, wired for the fans that I have. Is I'm going to in the water neck, I will have the temperature sensor for the fans. But the gauge sensor is in the intake manifold, so it's actually deeper in the engine, let's say, or inboard. So I get what you're saying, but if you had it in the cylinder head, that would be probably a more accurate overall temperature, as far as that goes. So that's a pretty good question. Let me just read over that one more time. But it would probably read higher technically in the head, So I hope that helps kind of resolve that. But in my case, I'm going to have one sensor that registers temperature in the intake manifold, and then the other sensor, which registers for the for the fans, is going to be on the other side of the water neck. It'll be on the other side of the thermostat. So hopefully that helps. Jack, hey man, got something to show that I got in the mail. I'm going to show something I got in the mail this week. Troy, I agree. For cooling fans, put it on the intake or water neck. Yep. CSL, RC Lauren, just dropped by to give a thumbs up. Well, thank you, man. I'll even give you a bell for that. Appreciate it. Karsten, evening, Barry and all. Glad you're here, Karsten. Did you get your starter figured out? Did you get that figured out on a Buick? Let us know how that turned out. Sophie Austin, VASF Tech. Okay. Charlie, higher in the head, yes, because it's usually between two cylinders. Yes. Yeah, I mean, typically you've got to figure that you have a combination of things. In the cylinder head, yes, you do have water flow, but all your combustion is happening right there, and your exhaust is right there. So, the head's going to read higher, in my opinion. Jerry, on my 66, the fan sensor is in the water neck, and the engine temperature sensor is in the head at the back. So that is another. Well, that's and then of course you have a 6-cylinder too. So I guess that makes sense. Dave, hey Barry, nice cap. Thanks. Red, white, and blue. And speaking of nice cap and Christmas and stuff like that, I want to show you something. I got a gift in the mail, and I think it's pretty cool. If you look here, it's a Christmas ornament keepsake of a 70 Mach 1. And I did have it open. I'm going to open it up again and show you. Comes with an officially licensed by Ford Motor Company. It's got a little data card. You can write stuff down on it if you want. But it comes pretty well packaged. Comes out of that package. And it's got another package. Because, you just can't have enough packaging. But I understand the premise because this thing, with this little shrink plastic, it's not going to rattle around. But check that out. That's pretty cool. And it's actually fairly well detailed. And now you can't see it, but I can see it. There's even a little, you can see the red there. There's a little tiny Christmas present inside on the back seat. I say tiny, it's big for the car, but it's a little, I know you can just see the red, but there's a little package in the back seat. It's got the shaker hood. Pretty cool. Now, that says 420. I don't know, 428 or 4, I can't read it. It's the lettering is so small. I'm going to say 429 on the hood. So, thanks, Jack. Appreciate it. And now I need to hide it on get it on the tree somewhere, so I can hide it in there without my wife knowing. Robert, any of those? Tech RA Porm. Okay, you talking about the Sophie Austin thing? John, Mustang afternoon with Brother Bob sprayed inside of cow with black paint. Better than work. Cool. Oh yeah, definitely better than work. Karsten, yes, the seller didn't respond. Contacted eBay and they stepped in. Now I have a return label. Okay, good. Phil, I don't like temperature sensors in the head on VH. Only getting half the info, and my problem always seems to happen on the other side. Go figure. Okay, that's a valid point. I get that, and the intake manifold would seemingly be more accurate of a average temperature. So yeah. Robert, 50-50 chance, and I always lose. Okay. Jack couldn't find the 69 in Acapulco Blue. Well, there's always next year, Jack. There's always next year. You know, you get the 70, get the 69, get a 68 coupe. You know what? Thank you though. Thank you. I was gonna send you an email, and I didn't get around to it. But I thought this would be kind of cool to share it on here as well. You know, I was watching. Um, Speaking of cars and little cars and stuff like that, I was watching a. They have the show. What is it called? Like the History Channel has the cars that built America, or the food that built America, or whatever. They have a new one out called the toys that built America, and really kind of interesting to see some of the stuff they've talked about. But they talked about, like, not this in particular, but Hot Wheels, and they make, I think they said 130 different or new designs every year. I think is what they said, and it's really kind of neat to watch. They do a 3D printing now of the cars. They design them, they 3D print them, they put them together, make sure everything works. They have some sort of a roll test where they launch them off of the racetrack, and they have to roll 25 feet. And if they don't, they start over. Kind of cool to see that sort of thing. But I was always wondering, how hard would it be to have a car made? Like, we've already got templates for all these, you know, for these cars. They've got templates from years past or even recent stuff that they've created. And I know I have a couple of 60, maybe it's not Hot Wheels. It might have been another company, but I have a 68 Mustang. It's like on a 4-wheel drive chassis and several different things. But I thought, how cool would it be to have like Jade turned into a Hot Wheels car? You know, the car itself, the color would just pop out of the package, a lot like, the blue comes out. Um, and then um, okay, then, just I don't know how hard it would be to, or what it would cost to have something like that done. I mentioned before, I had a guy build this for me. This is a replica of my stock car that I raced, 65 Chevelle. I paid a guy $50 to do this for me, and he took a 65 Chevelle. He provided the car. He took it apart. He painted the wheels. He did all the uh, some of the detail work on it, of course, and made it look as close as he could to the car that I drove. So, as an example, there's a picture of. Let me see here. Yeah, there's a picture of my stock car. Now, he didn't go as far as cutting out the wheel wells, which I would have liked it had he cut out the wheel wells, but still, he did a good job of replicating the car that I drove. So I thought about contacting him and saying, "Hey, could you paint up, a '68 Mustang coupe for me to make it look like my car?" This is actually, I have a bunch of pictures here that Roger gave to me. He had from when we were racing. So, like, here's another shot of the car on the driveway. This was back in the early '90s. This is a shot of a car that was. I think I interacted with this car in a bad way. There's the back of the car all beat up. Stuff like that. Here's a rare shot of one of my '72 Chevys that I had long time ago. Long time ago. There's a car on the track, Douglasville, Georgia. Now, here's another shot that when I told you, I mean, I worked out of my house garage. That was working out of the house garage before I ever had this shop up in place. That's where everything happened, in that house garage. So Anyway, just some pictures of the car and different things. Um, it was fun. It was a good time, but I still would like to, if I could, have somebody remake the '68. I think that would be really cool to see that. I also will tell you that I had a conversation this week, or yesterday, with a guy building a convertible, and he's got some problems going on. And I think part of the problems, of course, he started with a pretty bad off car. He thought that it was, as we all do, when we get a hold of him, we're like, oh, this thing's in pretty decent shape. And then you start, you pick a little here and you pick a little there, and next thing you know, you got a pile of rust and a couple pieces left. And that's basically what he ran into. And he had started to build the car piece by piece, rather than like I did it with the convertible, where I used the whole floor pan and then started working my way up. So he's having some issues with alignment of certain things, and getting stuff to fit right. So we were trying to resolve some of that yesterday. Talking about measurements and trying to figure out some stuff like that. But hopefully, I got him helped out with it. It's rough to get in the middle of something and you go, what do I do now? And you don't have a good answer. So hopefully he's got some things figured out. Okay. I'm not seeing any more comments on the side here. I hope this thing's still working. I hope this is still working. I did have to. I blocked somebody who was trying to be naughty. Get on the naughty list. No, you can't have any of that. None of the naughty list. Not on here. So how's everybody going? I know Carson said he was going to get his starter returned, and I talked about Greg having his um, English wheel that he was building. So, Robert, anybody out there? Because I'm not seeing anybody responding to anything. So let me know if this is still working. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself in my garage, and people think I'm crazy. Ed, we are here. Okay, good, Ed. I mean, because if I don't, if I look for responses, and if I don't see responses, I'm like, well, am I just talking to myself here? All right. So, Robert, you started the rotisserie. Okay. So when you say started the rotisserie, does that mean you started drawing one up, or have you started actually building it? Do you want to show it? Do you want to talk about it? We can do that if you like, or you can at least discuss what you have going on with it, if you want. If not, that's okay too. I understand. Let me see where else we're at. Okay. All right. So I will send Robert an invite. Let me see if I can remember where the email is. Here we go. Okay. That should be coming to you, Robert. And we can see what's going on with the build. Dave says still good. Okay. Greg's workshop. Hi Barry. How you doing? Okay. Good. Good. Let me see what. Okay. Let me download this picture real quick, because Jerry has sent me a picture. Let me pull that up. Okay, give me a second, Robert. I'm glad you're in the background. Okay, so Jerry has sent me an email on his vintage air install. So let me show you that. So that's on the 6-cylinder. That's cool. And it looks like you have a better alternator on there, and that compressor mounted low. I guess I haven't even considered installing a vintage air kit on a 6-cylinder like that. I'm assuming they must make a kit for it, obviously, if it's there. Um, but I really guess I hadn't envisioned what it may look like, but now I do. Now I can see it. Okay. So you've got the alternator running off of the AC compressor. Okay. That that looks like it works. I hadn't thought of that either. I guess I need to ask, did you custom make the bracket that's on the outside for the alternator? Or how did you get that, come up with that? Did they provide that for you? Let's see here. Okay. Let me get that one down. The alternator is, oh, okay. The alternator mount is my design and cleared the headers. Okay. Nice. Good. All right. So, Jack, got to go. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Jack. Glad you're here. And Jack is saying, have almost the entire floor spot welds drilled out. OMG, there's a lot. Yeah. There are a lot. And Charlie is saying, I do that all the time. I'm assuming talk to yourself. I get it. I do that. All right. Let's get Robert on here and see what he has going on in the shop.
I hope it's not too washed out because I got the door open behind me. So,
Yeah, you're okay.
it's 80, going to be 80 something today, 85 tomorrow. So,
Nice.
uh, yeah, I started on the rotisserie.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just starting on bolting, making it something on the car and then working my way down. Because the
Okay.
hardest part is getting something on the car that you can, to do all
Right.
that with. And it's not going to be fancy. It's just what I've got lying around, and because it's not going to spend that much time on it, so I don't want to invest too much into it.
Right.
So, a lot of it is just actually leftover 2-inch square tubing from this building. When we bought the house originally, a little bit behind me, actually, you can see the beam up there at the very top. There actually used to be a wall in here splitting this building in half.
Okay.
Well, one of the first things I did was take that wall out because it,
Yeah.
it was, previous owners, so they did some weird stuff, but that gives me some extra square tubing to use. And this is not, I don't know if you're familiar with like the, you need to block that one down there.
Yeah.
Um, the, there's those carport companies that use like the galvanized steel tubing, for building shops. Well, this is kind of the same idea, but this is regular square heavy.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it's like 12 gauge square tubing. It's really, it's not quite 1/8 inch thick. I
Yeah.
have to measure it one of these days, but it's really strong. So it's
Yeah.
just nice stuff to have around. So I don't know here if I can get it out of the way, and I'll maybe get the camera here. It does come off. You know. You, so basically, I've got. Oh, wow, that is really crooked. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So basically, that's just onto the frame rails there across the front,
Sure.
and that's just
Sure.
where I started. And I will say the best part about that whole thing was being able to weld on steel that you can actually weld on.
Yes.
It's been so long since I've actually been able to weld steel, and I can just get on there and weld a bead, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that is so nice.
And just let it go. Just
Exactly. It's just like normally you're like zzz, zzz, zzz. This was just
yep.
like I can just keep going. I don't have to stop.
Yeah.
This is novel.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm sure I'm assuming you've researched what may be, and maybe I want to think about this the right way.
The,
Yeah, up and
yes,
down so that it's balanced, so it doesn't want to flip over.
and yeah, and I did a bunch of digging around, just looking at other pictures and seeing where everybody else put it. And from what I get, for the most part, it's most everybody goes by the gas cap, and it's a little above. It's a little bit above the gas cap hole. It's in
Okay.
that ballpark there. So I don't know if I don't plan on making adjustment. Like with the threaded rod, I don't plan on doing that. But I'm not there yet. That part's not built yet. So
Sure.
it may just be a plate with a couple of holes in it, and then I just move my bolt up and down because, like I said, I can just pick it up and put it on there because carded.
Yeah.
I'm not that strong and I can pick it up, so it's not that heavy.
Well, you still want to be careful with that
Yeah, yeah,
because I
but
know.
at least it's not like, something's like, "Oh, yeah," you just can't manhandle it,
Yeah,
At least this is I could pick it up, put it on something, and then I could move the bolt and make it work. It's not that big a
right.
deal. The back will just be where where the square bumper part is, with the two holes. I'll just put
Mhm.
a plate and a pipe coming off, and I'll do essentially the same thing on the back that I'm doing on the front. And then I'm going to build something up off of there. Um,
Well,
it'll happen. It just, you know,
like you said, you got all the scrap metal. Take advantage of it. You know.
exactly, exactly. And it's it is one of those. It's an organic type of thing. It'll you design it as you build it, and that's used to do lots of that stuff. So
Sure.
you know,
Well, that's like in the back of my shop. I have a Chevy small block sitting on an engine stand. Well, I didn't want to go buy an engine stand,
the green one.
the green one.
Yes, I remember that one.
And so when I went to when I was going to took my welding classes, which I only did to get my money out of the army for that, but I decided I'm going to make my own engine stand because you have an engine stand, and they always feel like they're kind of low
Hmm.
to me. I mean, I know you're taller than me for sure, but they always feel kind of low. So I made that thing intentionally about maybe 6 inches taller than a normal engine stand, and I made it out of 2 inch square tubing, quarter-inch thick wall. Okay,
Oh, geez.
so I mean, it's industrial, and the center post that the engine is mounted to, the plate is mounted to, is solid. It's not a pipe.
Mm.
It is solid, like 2 inch round
Mhm.
stock, inserted into a flange that's like a half inch thick, and then welded. I mean, it's like as industrial as you can get. Um, and I also added because you don't see normally you see like an engine stand. It's just it leans back a little bit,
Mhm.
and they rely on that point where they're mounted together. I guess to me, I was like, no, I don't want that. I put in a strut brace
Yeah.
so it can't collapse. I mean, this thing is, you could probably hang a big diesel off of this thing and it would hold it.
Yeah, and it's like, most engine stands, you put an engine on there, even a small block engine, and the engine is going,
Yeah.
it's just drooping off of it, and it doesn't matter how small the engine is. They're just, yeah, well, but geez, we used to buy those things all the time for what, $50 a piece?
Yeah.
So there's not much, not going to be much steel in it at $50.
No, no. And I know I have at least one more, maybe two more. I don't know. But I know I have them. I have at least one.
Hmm.
Oh, we got a comment here. Bill Weller, keep the good work. Keep up, I guess, keep up the good work. Or something along those lines. Keep the good work out, guys. Okay. Keep the good work up. Maybe it's that. Greg, Barry, mine is still in the box. So you have an engine stand that's still in the box or a rotisserie that's still in the box. One of the two. And Jerry, I have a rotisserie. What I found was without engine, rear end, and windows, the bottom was heavy.
Hmm.
I used scuba weights to balance the car so I could rotate. Worked okay. Well, there you go.
Hmm.
That's not a
And
bad idea.
yeah, it's like I looked for used ones for quite a while, and I found in over a couple of years, I found three for sale at any, total. They
Well,
just, normally they're attached to a car because people get a rotisserie, they get a car, the car never makes it off the rotisserie. They sell it, as a package deal. So
yeah,
you don't find used ones very often. And the few I found one that was basically brand new, and it was like, okay, why would I buy that, drive, 200 miles to get it and only save $50?
yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, the I think I mentioned that I found out that a friend of mine was selling a rotisserie with a '69 coupe attached to it, and he's had the car for like 2 years, and
Yeah,
apparently he said he was trying to sell it for the last year, but he never told me.
yeah, I remember you telling me about
I'm
that. You,
like,
you didn't seem very happy.
no, I wanted both. Give me the coupe and the rotisserie, and I would have been
Hmm.
very happy about that. But uh, yeah,
Yeah, And the few times that are things like that pop up, it's like I can never find anything. If I'm looking for deals on stuff, I never find it. And then it's just that kind of deal where they said, "Well, oh, I had this all along." It's like, well, you never said anything, or they had it. I knew they had it, and exactly. It's like you never said that you wanted to sell it, and I didn't
Right.
want to badger you asking about it.
Right.
And yeah,
Let me see what else we have here. Rick, I have a 4,000 pound engine stand for my little 289. Perhaps overkill, better safe than sorry. A 4,000 pound engine stand?
wow, that'll
That's
do a big diesel.
I was just saying, where did you put that thing? That's got to be huge. And Jerry, Harbor Freight engine stands are not bad. I think they sell two different styles. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those. Um, and for what they're for, yeah, they work fine.
Mhm.
They work
Well,
fine.
and it's like I've got the Harbor Freight engine hoist, and to be honest, I'm I'm going to sell it. I don't like it. It's not that it's a Harbor Freight one. It's the general design of them I don't like. It doesn't work well. Because the legs are splayed. They're splayed like this instead of straight out. So you when you try to get it under a car, usually those legs are in the way. Or if you want to pick something up, it's like, okay, I just want to pick something straight up, and now the legs are kind of in the way. And most of them don't reach in far enough either. On the Mustang, or if you were doing some of the full size Fords, that engine is so far back against the firewall with so much nose in front of you. It's kind of like a Monte Carlo,
Yeah,
where you've got an extra 2 foot of nose out there. It just
yeah.
doesn't work well. So what I would like to do is I'd sell it, and it's essentially like brand new. I've used it 3 times, picked up the generator with it once or twice. That's about
So
it.
you have a cherry picker, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the standard
Okay.
one. Yeah, the standard, you know,
Yeah,
typical
not
one.
like an overhead gantry type one.
No, and that's what I would replace it with, would be the gantry.
Yeah,
Either the Harbor Freight one or one like it. And it's like, if it wasn't for the fact that I have so much crap in my shop, on the walls, I've got a bunch of wood stored over here. If I were building a shop from scratch, especially a metal building like this, because all the posts in here, they're 3-inch posts, 3/8 thick steel, and it's all welded to plates that are in the concrete.
yeah,
And then that 2-inch square tubing. The frames of these buildings are really strong. But if I were doing one from scratch, I would take and put a a rail, all the way, the long way on both sides,
yep,
and build my own bridge crane right into there.
yep,
And it doesn't need to be anything massive, because I'm just picking up something that may be 1,000 pounds at most.
yeah,
And then on top of that, if I did that, I'd have two. I would have two, because then, oh, I want to pick up a car. I can go on both ends of the car, pick the whole car up,
yep,
and
yep.
you can pick up, move things anywhere you want, and it doesn't take that much steel. Really,
Right.
you can scrounge up a lot of the stuff and use different kind of rollers and wheels for the guides and stuff like that. But trying to retrofit and go in afterwards, no.
Well, I've had the same idea in here, and I'm like, well, I'm all wood, so I'd have to build a steel structure inside with the beams, all that stuff, and then I'm like, well, how often would I actually use this thing?
Hmm.
Is it worth my effort? No, not at this
Well,
point.
and it's like, at one time, a friend of mine had a bunch of railroad track. I could have put brackets on the pipe, set those tracks up there, and put something with wheels on top of that, and he had long enough pieces to do it. He
Wow.
had 40 something foot pieces, and I need 40 feet, to do the length
Yeah.
of the existing building. I can actually add on another 18 feet that way. But even if it didn't reach that far, who cares? Because that would be a paint booth and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff
Sure.
anyway. But it's just, the other issue is, even if I did it and I got the stuff here, well, for one, how do I get it in the building? It's not easy to get in here, and then it's heavy. And then you got to lift it up. You're lifting that up,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
you
You're
know,
gonna need an
yeah, a
industrial
foot
forklift
of,
to get it up there.
exactly. 1 foot of railroad track is heavy, let
Yeah.
alone 40 feet of it. So, you know,
Oh
pipe would work, actually.
well, yeah. Rick says 4,000 pounds means it's capable of holding an engine that weighs 4,000 pounds. Still, That's a lot of weight. I mean, seriously. I,
Yeah.
I mean, what's a small block weigh? 500 pounds, fully loaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because a big block is still shy of 1,000 pounds. Even with a
well,
cast
yeah,
iron with a
I don't even
cast
think
iron
it's.
intake.
I would think a big block, fully loaded, 700-800 pounds,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But if it'll hold something that weighs 4,000 pounds, that's that's a
That-
pretty mean
that's the car
thing.
and then some. The
Greg
entire car.
says, Barry, my English wheel is, I guess, not done. Okay.
I
And
I missed out on an English wheel on Craigslist, one of the newer Harbor Freight ones,
yeah,
virtually brand new. The guy wanted $100 for it, and I was like, I don't really need it. Don't have anywhere to put it, but I'll call.
sure. Well,
It'd sit outside if it had to and get covered.
I um speaking of selling things, whatever, I've listed my son's Mazda 3. And you know, you look up the values on things and it tells you this car is not worth much of nothing.
Hmm.
It's a 2006. It has a check engine light on, but everything else is great. It runs and
Hmm.
drives and does everything. And I was like, well, I don't know, $2,100. Just throw a number out there and see what somebody says. And I almost immediately had somebody call me and says, "Yeah, I want it. I'll come get it tomorrow. I'll come get it tomorrow." Of course,
Mm.
now a day has gone by, and then he's like, "Well, maybe Saturday." In the meantime, I've got all these people that are like, "Hey, is it still for sale?" Well, this guy says he wants it. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, so sometimes, like you said, you call about this English wheel. I'm sure it was gone pretty fast.
Hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that this Mazda goes by today, honestly, but we'll see what happens.
Hmm. That's like I have a friend of mine. I've got a possibility to buy his truck, and like, well, it's really bad timing. Wrong time of year. Things are slow. Every and the thing is, it's a '06 three-quarter ton crew cab. GMC. I know the history of it. It's been well taken care of. Nice new tires. When it's like, where do I put it? On top of that,
What's he want for it?
I don't know. I just we haven't really discussed that, you know. But I may see, I just it would be a nice truck to have. It really would because it is in really good
Well,
condition.
yeah.
And it's just like I said, I know the history of it. In fact, I
Short
was
bed, long bed.
long bed, and I was there,
Okay.
and I was there the day he bought it.
Okay.
We were at the dealer buying it. Him and I just get into, him and I've known each other for forever. He's the one with the Christmas lights that told him not to put them up. But
Okay.
we go off and we went looking at boats one time. We went and we came back with a brand new Centurion. We weren't
Okay.
looking to buy a boat, but we went looking and we came back with a boat. The truck was another one of those. He had a green 98 or something like that. And we went to buy a water pump at the parts store. We came back with a new truck. It's
Well,
him and I just get into that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. I got Dawn checking in from Jeanette, Pennsylvania. Jasper, I really don't trust those flunky engine stands, although I've never seen one break, but still prefer a homemade one with better steel, as you said. Yeah,
yeah.
I do too. I do too. Jerry, I agree on the engine lift and short. It sucks. Stabilizer feet are too wide and the reach is short. I did add 30-inch extension to lift light stuff. Talking about the cherry picker.
Hmm.
I have one with the fold down legs, you
Hmm.
know,
Yep.
and it has the extendable boom. I really haven't had any trouble with that one.
Mine,
It's worked
mine's
fine for
mine's
me.
just a little short. Mine's the newer version, so it's a little shorter.
Okay.
But yeah, and I have just put that boom further out there.
Well,
Just
what's funny though? Speaking of the engine stand, I had also built my own cherry picker while I was at that school out of 1/4 inch thick, two
mm,
inch square tubing. But I made the thing. I bought the jack. It worked. It
hmm
did everything I wanted it to do. But one day I was like, this is in my way. I sold it. Just
Well, it's, my friend used to teach the electricity classes, all the all the that kind of stuff. Okay, in the shop classes. Well, they used to do a competition, and one of the competitions one year, it was all different sorts of things you could enter into, 50 million different things, and one of the kids had built an engine hoist, cherry picker engine hoist, and both of us we're looking at this thing, and we're like, can we get hold of this kid? I want to buy this. It was that well built,
yeah,
designed, and he did a lot of this stuff like with the like with the say the plates for the instead of just putting the wheels on the bottom of the beam, right? Okay, he put the plates up here so it would
so you could sit lower and yeah,
exactly, it would sit lower, doesn't hit the A arms, and we're looking at this thing, it's just like, would he sell it to us because we want this thing?
yeah, yeah,
So we're like, yeah, we can't judge that. Somebody else gonna have to judge it.
yeah. There you go. Let's see, Ed. I had a big chip on the floor of my old shop from a 3-inch caster engine stand falling over with a 454 on it when moving it. Yeah, that's the scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once those start moving, you're not going to stop it.
No.
Not without risking breaking it or losing half a foot or something. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
nope, not going to do it. Jerry, I also have an A-frame lift with rollers. Let's see. I also have an A-frame lift with rollers amount 2 1-ton hoists and can move it to meet my needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Rick, as for lifting things, we need to go into the future and come back with an anti-gravity gun. That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Jerry, if you want to span 40 feet, your challenge is a sag in the middle.
Well,
Yeah, I think he was talking about 40-foot length
yeah, yeah.
of the
I'm
building and
only
then have posts intermittent.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got 40 foot is the lengthwise. Unfortunately, this is like a galley kitchen. It's 40 feet long but 20 feet wide, and at 20, the square footage would be okay if it was more square. But because it's such like a galley kitchen, it's a difficult building.
Yeah.
But spanning, I'd be the bridge itself would span 20 feet, which is no
Right.
big deal.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad at all. Rick, when selling a used car, it goes to the first person that shows up at the door with cash in hand. Yes, I agree. I've always, if somebody's interested, I try to hold it as much as I can. But 9 times out of 10, they don't happen. It just doesn't work out.
Now,
Jerry, on Craigslist, I tell everyone first come with the money gets the product. Yes.
yeah, maybe you could do one of these where when you get a bunch of these people saying, "Hey, I'm interested," just say, "Okay," tell them all the same thing. Say, "I will be at such and such a grocery store in the parking lot at this time. The first one to come out and actually buy it, in cash in
Right.
hand, it's theirs."
Yeah.
And tell everybody the same thing. Say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I will be here at this time with the car."
That's not a bad idea.
It's
Not a
worth a
bad
try.
idea at all. In fact, all the people that already contacted me on the car after I told them it was pending,
Hmm.
I've already sent them all notices. It's available. It's available. And I have somebody that sent me a phone number said, I want to come right now. Call me. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to be calling that person and say, come see me. Come see me. Oh, looks like Ricard is here. Awesome. Glad you're here, Ricard. Hope all is well.
That
Um,
that guy still amazes me what he does in such a small garage that he has. That's I complain about it being too tight here, but when I look at his, I'm like, okay, there's barely enough room for the car.
well, there was that guy. Where was that in Italy? I think I did a viewers project video for him, and I mean, he could walk sideways beside the car. That was it.
Hmm.
That was it. Oh, since it's on my mind, and I may talk about this more on Monday as well. Um, I contacted Autometal Direct recently. They've been posting more stuff on Instagram, and I follow them and whatever. And they had, um, done some recent videos at the facility. Like it's up in an hour and a half from me or whatever.
Hmm.
And I commented, I said, I need to come up there sometime, or I should come up there and make a video. And I got a response back,
Hmm.
and it said, yes. When do you want to come up? And I talked to him on Monday, and they said the guy I talked to, whoever his name, Eddie, I don't know what his status is, But he's like, yeah, I just moved up here from uh, Florida, and I'm managing this now, or managing this whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And he said, when do you want to come up? And I said, let me think about it a second. He said, well, you can come up tomorrow or Wednesday. He said, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Street Truck Nationals is renting out our facility and doing a video shoot or something up there, or some show or something.
Hmm.
He said, you can come up for that if you want, but it might be, and I'm like,
Be
well,
kind of
yeah,
busy.
okay.
Yeah.
So I will be going up there, maybe next week. We'll see how it goes.
But the only problem is that, see, she's staying up in Ohio longer, which means that I can't, sneak out to Atlanta and go
Yeah,
do that and then come back.
yeah.
You know,
But
I know, but she's up taking care of her mom, so it's okay.
yeah, that's all right. But I'm gonna try to get up there, and the guy told me I can shoot whatever I want. Like he was talking about the R&D department where
Hmm.
they've got original cars that they're dismantling to make panels
Oh,
from.
cool.
And I'm like, oh, yay! Let me
Hmm.
get up there and let me see what I can film. But I think it'd be really cool to get up there and do that.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing, this is something else, and I'm debating on whether I want to do this or not. I received an email from Yes Welder.
Hmm.
Now, Yes Welder did their video on me. I'm very happy about it. It turned out great. Had a good time doing that. I've already mentioned about having some issues with the welder I have. Um, but Yes Welder has said we are planning a second production unit, or let's see, hold on. Wanted to reach out to you again as we were planning to send a production unit to someone who can help us film an in-depth setup video guide of our MP200. That's their
Hmm.
that's their high dollar 5 function
Hmm.
welder that does plasma cutting, TIG, MIG,
Hmm.
stick, and arc. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Five
Yeah.
functions. But they're asking me if I would be interested in doing part of that. We are offering the reviewer a brand new production unit of the MP200, which if you go to the website, they're selling them right now for $900,
Hmm. That
and then some
that's the
money on the
one.
side.
That's that one that kind of looks more like one of those fancy gaming computers. It's
It's
got that
black.
black
Yeah, it's
case and
black,
yeah.
and it's all like digital screen, and it
Yep.
looks to me, it looks like it's maybe easier to use than the one that I have.
Hmm.
And supposedly the plasma cutter has a roller tip in it instead of just a straight flat face.
Hmm.
It has
Hmm.
some sort of a roller tip on it. From what
Hmm.
I'm reading,
That's
I've been
interesting.
trying to read up on it a little bit. Um, so I'm debating on whether I want to do that or not. I've got a pile of welders right now. I've got 2 plasma cutters.
Well, have them send me a TIG welder and a plasma cutter. Just don't. Just send them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, hey, we got Ray Buckman, late, late but here. Got waylaid. Okay, I'm glad you're here, Ray. So anyway, that's something else that
Hmm.
I'm kind of like. It would be kind of fun to shoot that. Um,
It's a lot of work, though.
yeah. Well, now there is some money on the side.
Yeah, but
That
still, it's still a lot of work. It really
Yeah,
is.
and I'm not sure exactly um, they're talking about is the aim is to have a video guide that acts as a manual for beginners to get started with all the processes and functions, covering basic setup, getting started with each process slash using usage scenarios and safety precautions. That sounds like a short list.
It sounds short, but when you start having to plan it out and figure out what you need to include,
Yeah, I know.
it yeah, it grows really
It
fast.
grows really fast. And that's where I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That brings me back to my friend when he was teaching is and I would help his class from time to time is that brings me back to that kind of stuff where you're trying to teach the kids how to do this stuff, and I start thinking about all those different things and like yeah, there's a lot involved in it, and then to try to simplify it and and make it quick for a video. And
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's a lot of work.
I think, and well, I'm going to assume a lot of people can attest to this, that the way in particular that I try to demonstrate something or talk about
Hmm.
something is I don't anticipate that everybody knows what I'm talking about. First off,
Yes.
and I try to make it that way on purpose,
Hmm.
because it would be easy to say, get your torque wrench and set it to 52 and tighten it up and you're done. But people need to see how to do these sort of things,
Hmm.
and maybe that's where they have seen, or like, hey, this guy has a good kind of
And
angle.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, with because, well, videos, when you go through different things, and it's like, okay, well, it I just can't think of any one in particular right now, but there's been a number of you've done where it's been, okay, this simple step here and that simple step there, and just methodically work your way through it,
Right.
and you do a really good job of that. I can do that, but generally I come from the point of view of, I expect people to know more than they do. But in this day and age, there's a lot of people trying to pick up stuff like this and do stuff that don't have a background in doing stuff, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
just mechanical stuff that, I mean, you and I are kind of, do stuff. We've been doing whatever it is, you name it, forever.
Right.
And a lot of people are getting into trying to say, hey, I've got this, I want to get into that, I think that's cool after I saw it. So they don't have that whole back catalog of experience to start with. So yeah, and
Well,
I mean, I could do a detail, but it's harder for me to
right. I
just dumb
understand
it
that.
down.
Well, here's part
In
of
a
my
way, I
angle
guess the way
too.
to put it.
Part of my angle on it is coming from the aircraft industry. Okay.
Hmm.
We would have new people come into our shop, or, learning a new process. And we're not talking about changing lug nuts on a car. We're talking about a pretty
Hmm.
precise process that needs to happen for aircraft parts to be serviceable and can stay in
Hmm.
the air. You kind of want that. And so what I've learned, I learned, 29 years of being working on aircraft, but um, if I was learning a new process and somebody would start teaching me something, most cases they would walk in and say, "Oh, flip on this switch, come over here, turn this dial 3 clicks, hit this button, and you're good." No, 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 no. I said, I'm going to come in there, um, and I want you to teach me like I've never seen any of this equipment in my life, and I
Yeah,
don't know what anything does.
yeah, yeah.
Let's
What
start.
is this thing? What does it do?
What does it do first off?
Yeah.
What happens if, give me these scenarios and give
Hmm.
me why you push that button first and turn those 2 clicks. Why do you do that? You know, and that's how I would approach it whenever I had a new guy come in my shop and I'm teaching them about vacuum furnaces.
Hmm.
And that's a complicated process.
Hmm.
Well, here's another thing. A lot of the things that we would learn are what we call tribal knowledge. And that is basically something you don't learn from a book.
Hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that I may show people, you don't learn it in a book or in a magazine, or,
Hmm.
it's got to be something hands on that says, here's something that doesn't happen. If you do this,
Hmm.
this is going to happen. Those kind of things.
Well, that's the big problem in industry, and NASA has run into that over the years, where they build something to design something. Well, you got the plans, you got this, but you don't have the guys that actually made the parts that figured out, oh, you have to do this in order to make this part, and all those little things that nobody records, nobody writes down. You
Right.
don't, and then, well, oh, Joe's, it's his last day, he's retiring. Well, he didn't train his replacement. So all
Right.
that knowledge just walked right out the door.
Yep.
It's because what the important stuff is not what's in the book. It's what the guy doing it can share with you, all the little tips and all
Yep.
that little stuff. And it's unfortunate that stuff just disappears.
Yeah. And it's like, and if this doesn't work, you hit it over here with a hammer and it's on,
Hmm.
kind of thing. Nobody knows why, but
Yeah,
that works,
yeah. The why doesn't matter. It's just that works.
Jerry says, I'm with Robert. They can send me the product and I'll evaluate. Yeah. And Jerry said, Robert, are you an instructor at VOU Tech? I don't know what that is. It must be something with those people that are trying to get on here. Rick, I've worked in higher education for 30 years. I'm used to over explaining things as people usually know less than they were supposed to. Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
Um, you know, crazy as it is, I went to school for almost 2 years for aircraft maintenance, and other people went to school in different locations for aircraft maintenance. And I remember when I was out in the hangar doing skin repairs on, 757s or whatever, and I had a new guy come out there, and he's sitting there and he's trying to connect his air hose to his tool, and he can't
Hmm.
figure it out. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He said, "This doesn't work. This doesn't work." I said, "Why doesn't it work?" "I don't know. Something's wrong. Something's wrong." I said, "Hand it to me." And and he was like, oh. I said, "Where did you learn how to do this stuff?" And he said it was Purdue University is where he learned this stuff. Well, apparently they had like I have, the quick connect air hoses. They
Hmm.
didn't have the old pullback style. You don't use the quick connect for aircraft stuff. You have to
Yeah.
use, or I think the standard may be that you use the pullback style so it actually locks on,
Hmm.
rather than when it could be bumped off easily. But
Hmm.
anyway, I was just dumbfounded. He never figured out how to put it on.
Well, and it's that, but the other part is like, well, mess with it, figure it out.
Yeah,
There's most people can't problem solve anymore,
no.
and it's just that it frustrates me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jerry was talking about VOTEC educational schools. Okay.
No, no, I don't. A friend of mine, he taught at he taught all the classes at the high school, and he also taught at the junior college as well. And a lot of times I spent a lot of time helping his classes, and because the stuff, what he couldn't do it, especially with you got a big fleet of kids, and then you're doing competitions, and you're out there in the evenings and
Sure.
afternoons. So all
Well,
these robot building competitions, and we enjoyed that stuff. And him and I were talking about it. You know, he's he's got to be close to 80 now. I can't remember how old he is, but he's the one I told not to get on the roof.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and it just him and I just do that stuff. And there's very few times you get to work with somebody that you don't have to talk to the other person. That you just what he wants, he knows what I want. It Things just
Well,
happen.
I think whenever you were here helping me out, it was kind of like that way. We
Yeah,
we had a pretty good, we knew what the goal was, and it was like, oh, but like, it's my garage, so I know what the tools are,
yeah,
kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's great to have those kind of experiences.
yeah. And
Um,
but I will say the frustrating part is just like I was over there talking to him, and we're talking about it, and we're just talking about all those projects, and you know oh geez, we poured uh 6 truckloads of concrete in his backyard for in front of his shop, between his shops and all this, and did a big thing, and all this kind of big projects. We're talking about it's like, yeah, he's just not able to do that stuff anymore.
right.
And him and I both are like, there's all sorts of stuff like that. We'd love to do to get together, but it just
Yeah, you're running out of time.
time has caught up with us,
Yeah,
and especially with him. And it's just it's frustrating to sit there and look at it. It's like, we the mind wants to do it, but he says, the body just can't do it anymore.
yeah,
You
I
know.
understand that. All right. Well, let's see here. Get my
Oh,
computer.
you
Yeah.
were talking about the sleeving for wiring. Let me go grab something really quick. I have some different stuff that you might be interested in that looks better than that black stuff.
Oh, okay. We'll see what he comes up with. Oh, come on. What is this doing? We'll see what he comes up with. But it's like he's saying, sometimes you work with somebody who, like, when I worked with my brother at the junkyard, he never had to say, I need a 9/16 or I need a half inch. I
Mhm.
was already there. I already knew where we were at in the process and go, psh, I mean, basically he would just put his hand out and I would hand it to him.
Yep.
We didn't have to say it.
Yeah,
So
that's the way it is with him and I, you know, if he's doing something, I look at what he's doing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go, go in the shop or whatever, go grab whatever I need, and here you go. This is what you're gonna need next, and kind of thing. Um, Sleeving, I was talking about this stuff here,
Oh yeah,
and this is expandable,
yeah,
so you can just expand it. And this has, it looks kind of like the old cloth, kind of wrapping, but it's a plastic.
yeah.
I like this a lot better than that plastic stuff because there's different sizes. I mean, here's some gray stuff. It's the same thing,
Where'd you get that from?
but I believe this was stuff that I used to buy from Waytech Wire, which is an automotive wiring supplier.
Yeah.
That's who I used to buy the rolls of wire from, and
Well,
they
I
have
think the difficulty is most of my stuff is
got
not going to
connectors.
be, yeah, it's not going to be
Yeah,
something I can slip that around.
there is some stuff like this that is more like this than it's kind of a moot point at this point for yours, because that stuff is there. It has it's kind of like this, but it does have a seam down the middle,
Right.
and it's really industrial commercial stuff, just for future reference if you ever need.
Okay.
They make that stuff, and they actually make a tool for a even the plastic stuff
Yeah.
that, okay, say if you've got your say if this is that plastic stuff, they have a tool that goes into it that you can feed the wire into,
Okay.
and then you move it along and it pulls the wire right into the loom instead of you
Yeah.
having to crinkle
Yeah.
it or shove it through.
Okay.
I think you can get those on Amazon too,
Well, I may have to investigate that.
but they're a couple bucks a piece. It's like a weird funnel, and they work really well.
Jerry says he retired from an automation company and was at one point a board of director of or at Votech school. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've had many people tell me that he'd be a great teacher, I agree. I would probably be a pretty good teacher, but the problem I have is paperwork, curriculum, all the stuff that if I could just like a professor, just sit there and talk and tell people this is how this works and blah blah blah. See ya. You're on your own.
Oh, well, you want to be number two. You want to be, if you want a two teacher classroom, but you want to be number two. So number one does the paperwork, and you as number two, you can just go out there and do the teaching part.
See, that would be great. That would be great. Okay, I'm gonna have to call it a day. I'm hoping you're gonna update me or have some updates going with your channel on your build for the rotisserie.
Yep. I've got one video that I was working on the wheel wells, and kind of that was the point where I decided I need to flip this car upside down and work on it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll get that up, and then I will do. I don't know. It'll be a couple part thing. I probably just break it up into a part where the mounts on the car itself, and then as it evolves from there, because I mean, it may end up being mounted to the building.
well,
I could just weld a pipe on the building as one of the supports.
you could,
You know.
you could.
So, but yeah, that's I'm working on that, and like I said, I got the front part finished. I'm going to start on the back, and so
Okay,
yeah, we'll get it going while the
all
weather's
right.
nice, and I'll do some welding while I got the doors open.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. But anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for
All right,
participating,
yeah, no
and
problem.
we'll get together again.
Yep.
All right, see you. Okay, so I'm going to end this live stream. This has been pretty good. Nice to have Robert on here talking about stuff and what's going on and different ideas. Let's see. Rick says number one does the teaching. Number two is a teaching assistant that does the paperwork. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to actually do any paperwork. I don't like paperwork. But anyway, things are progressing. I hope to have a video out tomorrow, finishing up the radiator install. I do have somebody interested in trying to get a hold of getting the Mazda, so I may try to take care of that. And of course, I have a granddaughter coming tomorrow, so things may get a little busy for me. But I want to thank everybody for being here, participating, throwing out ideas, commenting, questions, all that stuff. But I will be back on Monday night at 7, and we'll do this again. But until next time, Take care of yourselves. See ya.